Again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Darlene Garcia-Brown, and I am the host for today's session of Widow to Widow. And actually, this is the second part two of a four-part series on April showers, soul showers. And last week we talked about the storms of grief, or when grief comes in, right? And that how it's okay to break down, kind of like just when it storms and just watching the rain and allowing the rain to fall. Today I want to talk about the mood swings. And I think I called, and just forgive me, I might be looking down a little bit because I'm going to be looking at some of my notes here. But this is all about the mood swings. And so really just kind of understanding like these weather patterns, right? So we're really using that analogy of the weather, the storms, the showers that come. And so today's all about the mood swings, or really like kind of understanding what are some of the weather patterns that happen when we are grieving. But I want to start off first by telling you a little bit about my story, something that had happened to me early on in my grief journey. And I definitely experienced a lot of weather patterns in the beginning. My moods were always out of control. My feelings were always spinning out of control. And my family, bless their heart, because they were the ones who experienced a majority of it, right? A majority of it. I would go from crying one moment to being angry the next, sometimes just isolating, not wanting to talk to anybody, and then just laughing out of nowhere. Like no one has to say anything funny, and then I would just laugh. And so I used to say this a lot in the beginning of my journey, that my feelings were out of control. They were spinning out of control. And I was always the person that had control of everything, including my emotions. And so not being able to control that after Frank died was very scary for me. I didn't understand it. I didn't know why this was happening. And it really was very frustrating and very scary to go through that. So if you are in this place, kind of like what I described in my own story, right? And thinking, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Please know that there is nothing wrong with you. Grief is absolutely normal and natural, right? Normal and natural. And so these mood swings, these human emotions spinning out of control, they're all very normal, you guys, all very normal. And so remember that grief is not it's not a mental health condition, right? So you don't need medication for it. You just need to feel your way through it. I always tell people that I work with, just feel your way through the grief. Remember, we can't go over it. We can't go under it. We can't ignore it, right? We just have to move through it. Right? We just have to move through it. So again, kind of using the metaphor of the weather, right? Grief is our emotional weather. And so grief, some days you're going to have clear skies. Some days it's going to be nice and sunny, right? And other days there's going to be thunderstorms, right? A lot of you, if you're over in the East Coast area, you're dealing with a lot of thunderstorms or tornadoes. Up north, up in Canada, they're still experiencing snow, right, in April, which is kind of crazy. That's not really normal for Canada to have snow in April. And so lots of different weather going on in the world. So imagine that inside your body and going through grief, right? That's what happens to us. We have like all of these different weather patterns, and not even normal weather patterns, normal as in what we're used to, right? And what we're used to. And so just know that you can be fine one moment, and then the next moment, sorrow is just going to rock your world, knock you off your feet, and you didn't even see it coming, right? You didn't even see it coming. Kind of like the earthquake that I experienced here in Bangkok just a couple weeks ago, right? Nobody can see an earthquake coming, and when it comes, it's so uncontrollable. Like you don't know what to do. I mean, there's chaos, right? It could be a really strong earthquake. It could come with a rumble, so you know, and sometimes it doesn't, and then it can shake foundations of buildings. You know, people can get stuck and die. There's so many catastrophes that can happen with an earthquake, and a lot of times that's kind of how it can feel inside our bodies, and people don't know if you're coming or going, and not knowing how they can help you, right? And thinking that they need to try and fix you. And that's one of the things that I want to always make clear to everybody, is that we cannot be fixed, right? Grieving people don't need to be fixed, right? So if you know somebody that is grieving, please remember that. Like, I know it's difficult, like you just want to be there and you want to console them and you want to see them feeling better, but your role is not to fix them, right? Because we can't be fixed. We just need to be heard, seen, and acknowledged, right? That is the most important thing about being there for somebody who's grieving, right? So when you think about your own emotional weather, right, think about the depth of your love, right? You lost somebody, so you're grieving. The deeper we loved, the deeper our grief. Right? We don't grieve first, we love first. And so grief is because we loved, and we still love, right? So when you think about, gosh, I'm grieving so heavily, like Frank and I, we were married for 24 years. I didn't know how to be an adult without him. We got together when we were teenagers. And so moving through adult life, I only knew how to do that with him. And when he died, I didn't know how to do it. Like, I was so scared, I was so lost, right? And we loved each other so deeply. Right? We had 3 amazing children who are all married themselves, and now we have grandkids. And Frank and I were at that point of empty nesting in our life when he died. And so we were just kind of like at the beginning of that journey, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I empty nest without him? Like, I've never been alone before. And so the depth of my pain, my emotional weather was responding so erratically, right? And I really believe that that's because we loved so deeply. We were together for so long. I didn't know life without him, not as an adult, right? Not as an adult. And so think about your own, right? I just want you to reflect on that for a moment. And, you know, think about, like, how deep was your love, or how long was your relationship? Like, it's going to be unique and different, right, to each of us. And so, again, the depth of our grief has a lot to do with the depth of our love, right? So just kind of remember that. One of the things that I learned is we don't ever want to label our emotions as good or bad. Just like the weather, sunshine is good, rain is bad. No, right? They're both necessary for the earth, right, to thrive and survive, right? So the rain nourishes the earth. The storm clears the air. The sun brings us warmth and vitamin D, right? The fog, if you're in fog, it slows us down. So we need to be a little bit more careful when we're out there, right? So they all have a place in this world, right? They all have a place in Mother Nature, just like our human emotions all have a place inside of us, right? There is nothing wrong with feeling overwhelmed or angry or scared or confused. Those are all human emotions that we go through, and it's just our body's way of letting us know to slow down, to reflect, to cry if we need to communicate, right? But the biggest and most important thing is to allow ourselves to process that through, right? So there's no emotional weather, wrong emotional weather, if you will. There's just only different patterns, right, that are part of our healing journey. Just different patterns, right? And again, different patterns, but also different for each of us. So drop in the comments below and let me know, like, what do your storms look like, right? Is it like an earthquake and you're not sure if it's coming or going, right? Is it full of sunshine, and you're good? You're in a great healing place. Is it a storm that's brewing, that's building up? It's kind of like that anxiety that builds up inside of you, right? Is it a tornado that just is, it's out there and then all of a sudden it just kind of whizzes by, right? What does your emotional weather look like? Drop in the comments below and let me know. I'd love to engage with you there, after the live, obviously, because I'm not able to engage with you right now. So those of you that are here live, thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching the replay, please hashtag comment replay in the bottom, so I can also give you some love when you come in and watch the replay. Right, so here are some ways that we can manage through our emotional weather. First one is when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what's my emotional weather today? Right? Do you wake up like groggy, unmotivated, not wanting to start your day, already thinking it's going to be a messed up day? It's not going to be a good day? Or do you wake up and you jump out of bed and you're vibrant and you can't wait for the day to start, and excited for what's to come, right? Or maybe you're sad and you don't want to get out of bed because you're still thinking about your loved one, right? Those of you that are widows like me, like waking up and realizing that your husband is not there to wake up next to you, right? And so now all of a sudden the day starts off really sad and lonely again, right? So what is my emotional weather today? You wake up in the morning, ask yourself that. It's just a simple check-in with yourself and do it without judgment, right? Just ask yourself, where am I at today, right? When you wake up in the morning. Sometimes, you could wake up, it's physical issues, right? You woke up and you slept wrong and maybe your neck hurts, right? Or your back hurts. And so now you're waking up feeling not only some physical pain, but that affected your mood, right? And your thoughts, right? So just check in and please do it without judgment. The next thing is you want to carry an emotional umbrella, right? Carry an emotional umbrella. Just like when we check the weather, right? And we grab our umbrella, or we grab our raincoat or our rain boots, right? Or our jackets and our snow boots because we're out in the snow, right? And so you just want to kind of carry that emotional umbrella or emotional weather gear, if you will. What are those things really, right? Outside of metaphors, what is that? So it's your safe space, right? What is your safe space? My safe space was journaling, right? I knew that I needed to get my thoughts down on paper, and so I journaled so much in the beginning of my journey. But the very first thing that I do every morning is I pray, right? And so prayer is always a way for me to begin my day. Even if I woke up feeling sad, feeling scared, feeling unmotivated, I prayed about it, right? And then the other thing is, when it comes to safe space, is people that I trusted, right? My inner circle, my family. In the beginning, I could not do anything without my family, right? And so maybe you have a family, like lean on them. Maybe you have some really good friends. Maybe you have a widow group. Like now I have, in my inner circle, I have amazing, beautiful women that are widows just like me, that we can hold each other up and support each other through our emotional weather, right? So who are those people for you? And then the soothing tools could also be, part of your emotional gear, weather gear. Deep breathing. Deep breathing always saved me when I was out and about and I felt these anxiety building up inside of me, a panic attack, and I never experienced those ever until Frank died. I think the first one that I ever experienced was like 3 days. No, I'm sorry, not 3 days. 3 days, I think. 3 days after Frank died, and I had no idea what was happening. I thought I was having a heart attack. Actually, wasn't sure. Like, my heart did start hurting after a while, or pumping really fast. But the first thing that I felt was like I was having this out-of-body experience. And all of a sudden, and there was a lot of people around me, like their voices started to fade. And then I felt like my walls were kind of like coming in on me. and I started to freak out. And my heart started to race really fast, and so I ran into the house. We were outside, and I ran into the house, and I ran into the bathroom, and I closed the door. Like, I didn't want anybody to bother me. Like, I was freaking out, and I didn't want anybody to know that I was freaking out. But my sister noticed the change in my facial expression and my body language, and then she saw me dart out of the area where everyone was. And so she followed me, and she knocked on the door. And thank God that my sister has experienced panic attacks before, and so she guided me through to be able to slow my breathing down, because I started to hyperventilate. And so she helped me to get grounded with deep breathing. And so deep breathing became my best friend in the beginning, because when I felt those panic attacks coming on and I was in public, I didn't want to freak out. I didn't want anybody, or I didn't want more people to come around me, because I felt like that was going to create even more havoc inside of me, right? And so I just needed to focus and get grounded, and those breathing exercises helped me so much. So that's a really great way to help you, like within a moment's notice, right? When you start to feel that coming on. And I think that the biggest thing is to really like listen to your body. I just got off of a coaching session, a group session with my ladies inside my widow group. And that was the very thing that we were talking about, is we were talking about the physical reactions of grief, like how grief shows up physically in the body, and then what we can do to help ourselves through that, right? So the first thing is obviously to listen to your body, and then to have some of these grounding tools to help you. So I knew when a panic attack was coming, because my heart started to race fast, and I can feel my breath starting to get shorter and faster. And then I started to freak out. And so before I freaked out, I would get myself away. I needed to be alone where I could just focus on my breathing and calm myself down, and just, kind of get my emotions kind of focused and centered on one thing. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have a panic attack, right? It went from kind of down here to like right kind of here in the middle. And so before it got really out of control, I was able to control it and get it back down again, right? So hopefully, if you're one of those people that kind of have like panic attacks every now and then, that can help you in a moment's notice. But please know that those panic attacks is your body's way of telling you that you have unexpressed human emotions, and those really need to be resolved. Like that deep breathing exercise is to help you in the moment, but it's not going to heal what's unexpressed inside of you. And so you really need to do some deeper work there, right? The other thing that I do is I have these positive affirmations about how I'm going to go about my day, right? So, for example, one of my most common ones, and especially in the beginning of my grief journey, is whatever I feel today is okay, right? Because again, grief is normal and natural. So I would always tell myself, whatever I feel today is okay, right? And that reminded me that I just needed to allow myself to feel and process whatever I was feeling in that moment, right? The next thing that you could do is don't rush your storm. Sorry, I just have something coming up there. There we go. Don't rush through the storm, right? That's what I meant. Don't rush through the storm, right? There is a lot of times a temptation to force ourselves to feel better, right? And we do that a lot of times by putting on a mask, keeping ourselves busy, doing things to ignore the fact that your body is going through this emotional weather right now, right? So don't get tempted to force yourself to feel better. You will feel better when you allow that storm to process through, to just kind of pass you by, right? Don't rush it. Just allow it and move through it, right? Kind of move through it, right? Because rushing through it is not going to make it better, right? In fact, when we keep ourselves busy, when we do things like that to rush ourselves through, it really just prolongs our ability to heal, right? And so doing that is not going to help you. It's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt you, right? And sometimes the most healing thing that you could do is just sit in the rain. Allow those tears to fall, right? Remember, there's toxicity, right, in the tears. So releasing that is like releasing toxicity. So just allow it to fall, right? Allow yourself to cry. Like, it's okay. And if you're a guy, I know that that's not an easy thing to do, but please know that you're human, right? Man or woman, we're both still human, and part of being human is allowing ourselves to feel and to cry. Okay, so just remember that. What do I want to do here? Okay, so some anchoring things, some things that you can do to kind of anchor yourself. It's kind of like when you prepare yourself for a storm, right? So when you know a storm is coming, you want to stock up on water, and like dry foods, dry goods, right? So that things don't spoil in case you lose power. You want to get some candles. And I'm just talking from experience, like for us in Guam, right? We have these typhoons, and so we board up our windows because the winds can be really, really strong and, can really bust windows open. So we board up windows, we gas up our cars, we fill up, the tubs with water, just in case we run out of water. We get bottled water for drinking, things like that. Maybe some ice, just in case you need to keep things cool if things are in the refrigerator and you lose power. Some people have a generator, and so these are just some of the kind of the anchoring points that I'm trying to make here. Is like when you have a storm, you need to have all of these storm preparation things, right? And so kind of like the same things with grief is you need to kind of have some of these things to prepare yourself for what's to come. What are some of the things that you can have with you? Have some Kleenex with you all the time, some tissue, right? Because you know those tears are going to come. And so just have something, right? You're a female, have tissue always in your purse. I always had tissue in my purse, right? Always. I don't anymore. I probably should, but I don't anymore. But I always had like those little packs of tissue inside my purse. And like I said, I should have them now because when I talk to people, they always tell me that, I don't know, I just feel safe around you. And then they start crying. And, just to kind of break the ice, I kind of joke and say I have that effect on people, right? And so just having tissue ready to, not for myself, but to give to others, right? So like kind of do that. But also taking care of yourself, giving yourself grace and self-compassion and self-care, because that helps to ground you as you're navigating through that grief. What does that mean? That means that you want to be able to like enjoy the weather if you have nice weather, like sunshine, vitamin D, so important to our mood, right? To help have a better mood. If you're in the part of the world where you don't have a lot of sunshine, then maybe a vitamin D supplement, right, is a good thing to have. Breathing fresh air is always nice as well, and it really just helps to bring that calm inside of you. I found lighting a candle. I did that, I think, first 2 years, for I think the whole time that I had Frank's urn at home, we always lit a candle. And that was just a great way for me to honor him and just help me to feel, just kind of this peace, knowing that he was always there with us, and that this was our way of letting him know that we're thinking of him. And so always kind of having that candle lit, and so we always had a candle burning in our home. Sorry, I'm just kind of stuffed up a little bit. What are some other anchor things you could do? Nourish your body, right? So eat when you're hungry, right? Don't force yourself to eat. I know for me in the beginning, like I couldn't eat because my digestive system was all out of whack when my human emotions were spinning out of control. But I did make sure that I stayed hydrated and ate a little bit when I felt hunger pangs coming on, but I couldn't eat a lot. I wasn't hungry most of the days, right? And so just listen to your body. Eat when you're hungry, sleep when you're tired, even if it's just intermittent naps, because I know that sleeping is really tough when you're going through grief, especially at the beginning of your grief journey. And so just listen to your body, and if it's exhausted and you just need to put your head down on a pillow for 15, 20, 30 minutes, like that's still better than nothing, because I know night times can be really hard. I know it was for me. And so if you can sneak in a nap here and there when your body's telling you to rest, do that. Get hugs from the people that you love, right? Hugs are they're just so healing, right? And so when somebody comes around you and they want to support you and they're asking, how can I help? Just give me a hug, right? Because hugs allow you to just feel safe in the moment, right? And so when the storm is really, really raging through and you're just so overwhelmed, sometimes a hug can just make you feel safe, right? So those could be some really good anchor points for you during this time of navigating through your emotional weather, right? So again, just remember these mood swings, these human emotions that are spinning out of control, all normal and natural. Allow yourself to feel it, not stuff it down, right? Just feel your way through the storms, through the weather. Have your weather gear, right? Whether it's journaling, whether it's an inner circle, whether it's some deep breathing exercises, and then just have some of those anchor points for you to just prepare you for what's to come. Taking care of your body, getting some vitamin D, some fresh air, some hugs. All of those do you some great wonders. And I think that is about it. Just kind of looking at my notes here. Um, Last final thing. Be aware of the patterns, like what's happening, right? When does the weather get worse for you? Is it during times when something reminds you of your loved one? Like I know for me, like I would cry uncontrollably when a song on the radio would come on, and it was like a song that my husband would listen to, a band that he would listen to. It made me feel good because I really believe, gosh, Frank is here. He's letting me know he's here. Like, that's why that song is on the radio. But it made me cry profusely because I'm like, in that moment, it reminded me how much I missed him, right? So just kind of watch your patterns, right? Does your emotions come forward a lot more when you're reminded of something? Or is it just out of nowhere and you're not even thinking about it and it just happens? Because the patterns will allow you to be able to take the right action steps that you need to move through this journey. For example, if you cry out of nowhere, you're not even sure, you're having anxiety or panic attacks out of nowhere and you're not thinking of anything, that's a clear indication that you have a lot of unexpressed human emotions inside of you, a lot of unexpressed places of you that need healing, traumas, things from your past maybe, all right, those things kind of all build up. And so out of control, not thinking about anything, that's a clear indication that maybe, you need to get some help to bring forward what's in the unconscious into the conscious so that you can start working through it. Or are your patterns during times when you are intentional, you are aware, and you know that these are the moments that you're missing him? Celebrations, holidays, things like that. Is that when your emotional weather starts to get a little bit out of control? Is it like me, when the songs come up, when the smells come up, when certain foods are made, when you go into a certain place that reminds you of him or her, things like that, right? So just kind of watch the patterns of when this emotional energy starts to build up inside of you or become out of control, because they could be awareness or unawareness. What I mean by consciously or unconsciously, and so just kind of notice where those patterns come in. And then just let me know in the comments below what you found to be the most helpful here for you. I really, hope that this brought you so much value in understanding what your body's going through as you're dealing with these mood swings or these emotional energy that's kind of maybe spinning out of control for you. And I hope the tips helped you in how to keep grounded, and then also how to just take care of yourself as you're navigating this. All right, you guys, we're at the 30-minute mark, and so I just want to say thank you again for tuning in. If you, again, are coming in and watching the replay, #replay below, so I can come and give you some love. And for those of you that have commented here, I'll come back in and reply to your comments afterwards. But thank you again. Appreciate you guys. Remember, this is a 4-part series, so come back again, same time next week, and we're going to do part 3 of April showers, soul showers. All right, guys, until next time, take care, and I will talk to you again next week.